Hello everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are coming to you with a Vanity Fair and or other Oscars after party, red carpet, fashion roast and review. Listen, the Oscars, very unsatisfactory, very depressing, very uninteresting, very uninspired, very unethical in my opinion. Like, what was the point of that? But the after party, mainly the Vanity Fair after party, but there were a few other after parties as well that sort of had our favorite celebrities, both from the Oscars and not, show up in what I would consider more or less the looks that should have appeared at the Oscars. But before we get any further into the video, I just want to say a huge shout out to my subscribe button. You guys should go and click it because then you'll know when Hot Mode videos come out. I'll hit the like button, comment if you're really feeling like you hate something or you love something. Whatever makes you happy, comment it. So let's get on with this video. First up, Alana Haim, and she is wearing Louis Vuitton. Now listen, compared to the red carpet dress that we saw at the Oscars, is this better? No. And everything that I just said about like how great the after party looks are, not really regarding this one. It's pretty much a gray silk slip dress. There's a little bit of like a peep toe shoe, which that should go. That should be obliterated. That should not appear. I understand having worn a beautiful gown for the Oscars, and so maybe we want to do a little bit chill, a little bit simple. I get that. Maybe we're just going a little bit too chill, a little bit too simple here. You know what I mean? I could say, oh, Reformation, H&M, Zara. Pick a brand, any brand. We would say, oh, sure, that makes sense. Louis Vuitton, meh. Weirdly enough, I'm almost gonna say, like, where's the weird Nicolas Ghesquière, like, cut or like styling? I'm at this point where I'm demanding strangeness from the look. Next up is Alexandra Daddario, and she is wearing Carolina Herrera. It's pretty much a fitted black dress with a sort of mesh top that sort of creates almost like a bolero sort of vibe, but it covers the entirety of body. It's covered in a sort of dripping, cascading crystallization, both, you know, on the mesh aspect and also on the opaque dress. There's a very sort of dramatic or somewhat dramatic plunging neckline as well. It's not horrible. Is it memorable? No, it's not that either, but there could have been worse. I just think Carolina Herrera, for like dressing so many people, needs to work on making those things memorable. You know what I mean? Like quality over quantity. Please and thank you. Next up is Angus Cloud, and he's wearing Dolce & Gabbana. Choice. Listen, it's like a black suit with little sort of silk floral detail throughout. Thank you. Have a nice day. And it's also like, again, better choices. Just better choices could be made. Next up is Anya Taylor-Joy. She's wearing Dior. Honestly, like, I don't hate this. I'm not obsessed. I'm not, you know, gonna like remember it for years to come, but it's not a horrible look. I think the frilled sort of pleats are actually, again, sort of smart. I think they play to the history of Dior. I think they're just sort of done in a more modern sort of way. Little bows on the straps are decent. The way that the little frill straps that are like faux straps, you know, falling off sort of add a little bit of element that's intriguing. Now, the pleated skirt is decent enough. Like, I don't hate it. The little fishnet mask, though, I think that's the nice thing. You know what I mean? Like, it has a very beautiful, exciting feeling. It's nice and it's sweet and it's tender, but it also has like a little bit of drama, which, again, it's not hard to like get a coinciding headpiece. It's not. It's really not that difficult. So shout out to the fishnet headpiece because she deserves the world. Next up is Barbie Ferrera, and she's wearing Fendi. This is a choice, most definitely. Pretty much a silk sort of scarf fabric or textile that's been turned into a strapless dress with long sort of side panels that don't help at all. And then it's monogrammed with the Fendi text going through it diagonally, coinciding with the stripes of white and pink and orange and dark pink and purple or eggplant. The thing is, this fabric is very hard because, like, obviously we can all see when we zoom up the wrinkles because it's a silk, and so, you know, you move and, well, you're also, I just don't think the dress in and of itself does much for Barbie. Like, I just don't see the direction. I can understand trying to turn a silk scarf into a dress, but this isn't exactly like a convincing statement or example of that. I don't think it's absolutely horrible, disgusting, gross, terrible, but I just think it's one too many things. Between the side panels, the wrinkles, the logos, we should have subtracted one. Please and thank you. Next up is Billie Eilish, and she's wearing Simone Rocha. Honestly, I think Simone is a great brand for her. been saying it for years. I think this little silk baby doll dress of sorts that has, you know, two swags of fabric that come down and sort of create faux sort of sleeves, but they're not because they're really like swags of fabric, so it's almost like faux straps. It's great. I think the little baby doll cut, you know, works wonders on her, and I think at the same time it coincides with her aesthetic. I think the baby doll does a good job of not contouring to the body, which I think is what Billie is very much so not into when it comes to her red carpet looks for the most part. And so this little navy blue sort of style perfectly fits in with what should be going on. I will say I think the jewelry is misguided, and I don't mean the brand misguided. I think it's actually Simone Rocha jewelry. You can see around the neck that they're little crystals. I think the idea is great. I think the problem is it makes it look like that's a strap for the dress, and it looks very odd and very strange and very weird there, and that's my one issue. I think the shoes are really, really fun. I think they're really different from what we usually sort of see from Billie, so I think they also play super well into the baby doll dress element. I just think that one strand of jewels should have been nixed, but besides that, I think this is actually like a lovely look, super fun, very happy to see it. Next up is Chloe Bailey. I don't know who she's wearing, and I think maybe that's for the best. It doesn't fit. We can see that there's an excess of fabric. The crystallization, it's just a lot, not really making a whole lot of sense. The skirt, it's not great. Don't love it. Let's not do whatever that is anymore. Thank you. Next up, we have Ciara, and she is wearing DiPetsa. Now, listen, I understand that normally I'd be like, I don't know about that. But the DiPetsa brand is very much so about this sort of gathering, pulling, and creating texture. So in this context, it makes sense. It is what it is, and that's how it's going to be. I do think the color is magnificent on Ciara. Really, like, truly, I think this rich, like, wine color is stunning. I think the cutouts do a really, really good job of also sort of creating a little bit of differentiation from it just being a sort of gathered and pulled texture. And then on top of it, it plays back to the brand's history of making pieces that almost look as if they are wet, look as if they are sort of draped in a manner where you would think, oh my God, somebody threw water on that model or that celebrity. In reality, I'm intrigued to see the DiPetsa brand sort of branch out from just doing white styles into different sort of colors, and we've seen it for quite some time. Honestly, I think this is so much better than any of like the very sort of light silks that we had seen before. I think this color really does a beautiful job of capturing. I think that the fabric also allows, honestly, a sort of beautiful deepness to it too, without it feeling like it's just looking crinkled and wrinkled. So I'm a fan. Ciara's pulling it off. Thank you. Next up is Daisy Edgar Jones, and she's wearing Versace. Now, this is from the fall 2022 collection that, you know, just came right off the runway. It is a houndstooth in a chartreuse, a pink and green embroidery. You can see that there is very much so a boning at the bust area. I don't understand the black band that goes around the waist. I can see that there's like a little Medusa head sort of gold medallion that is sort of keeping that together, and that's been something that we've been seeing throughout quite a few seasons recently with Versace. I just don't really understand the context of it here. I didn't really understand it on the runway either, but here I think it definitely throws off what otherwise would be just like a really gorgeous look. I don't think that it looks hideous with it, but I just think it's a strange thing. It just doesn't seem to fit, you know, one of these things just doesn't belong here. I do think the rest of the dress fits her fantastically. I think the embroidery on the sort of little spirals of the houndstooth is really, really gorgeous. I think the colors work on her. I think it's lovely. Just, you know, remove the black band and we're good. Next up is Dakota Johnson. Iconic, stunning, gorgeous, wonderful, amazing, beautiful. This is a look. Like, this is a look that's making me smile. I feel like I don't really smile like this when I see fashion anymore, or like usually, but this, honestly, she looks magnificent. This is a take on the spring 2022 Gucci collection, and essentially, as you can see, there is a very sharp 1940s shoulder situation going on, and then throughout it's a sort of textured little chiffon that's been pleated and gathered together and runs vertically down the dress. It is stunning, you know what I mean? Like, and then on top of it, you have these sleeves that sort of recreate this boudoir feeling of the starlets of the 1940s, but they're done in this like fantastic silver and sort of light pink feather situation, as well as a host paillettes, which are sort of larger sequins. And then you can also see as we sort of fall below the waist that those paillettes and the feathers sort of come as well. And then at the bottom, there's this just little purple situation going on to just lightly trim the hem of the dress. It's beautiful. It's stunning. It's gorgeous. The referencing is there. The quality of it is impeccable. She just looks amazing. It fits her fantastically. It, like, speechless. Like, this is a fashion moment. Fashion moment.com. Thank you, Dakota and Gucci. Next up is Dan Levy. He's wearing Dior. Now this probably is a take maybe on the Kim Jones most recent menswear collection. It's a light sort of blue or very bluish gray suit. And then as you can see, there is a sort of draping that goes towards the center and a sash that falls out of the button sort of area of the suit jacket. Pants, I would say, I don't love the fit exactly. And the sneakers, maybe we could have chosen something a little bit better. I do really like the jacket element of it. I think it's a really fun sort of Kim Jones tie back into Christian Dior and the heritage of the brand, the asymmetry and the sort of sashes that we saw from the late 1940s and the early 1950s. I think the color actually works really, really well on Dan. I think the shirt underneath is great. I don't think we needed to see the white shirt underneath, but I'm just happy to see the sash moment. Yeah, pants could be better, shoes could be better, but the top section, very into. Very David. Next up is Donald Glover, and he is wearing King and Tuckfield, which is a brand I have not heard of, but I love this suit. I think it's really fun. I feel like it's really different. The silhouette of it is much more loose. It's much less strict. It's far more exciting. He almost looks a little bit like a monk. I think that's actually rather sweet. I feel like it's nice to sort of see suiting that takes not from, you know, very traditional European Savile Row tailoring tendencies, but from different sort of menswear throughout the world. I don't know exactly where this would be from, but I do think it's really, really beautiful and definitely diverts from that like very Eurocentric idea of what tailoring has to be. The color I think is fantastic. You know, the pant fit I also think is decent. The shoes I just don't love. Shoe could have been better. I understand the very svelty suede loafer situation, but I just think we could have done something a little bit different. It's also hard because those pants are so wide-legged that they pull really hard, and it just sort of throws off that element. But besides that, I think the suit is fantastic. Super happy to see it. King and Tuckfield, you've outdone yourselves. Where was this excitement on the Oscars red carpet from the men? Non-existent. Next up is Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. Let's talk about Dwayne first. He is wearing Gucci. Honestly, I think for what it is, it does a good job of mixing traditional tailoring in a Eurocentric sense with a little tiny bit of excitement. So this jacket is in gold, and I'm pretty positive that it's a jacquard of some sort. And then it has black lapels, and we have a little white sort of simple shirt underneath and a black bow tie. And then we have a simple sort of black pant that actually fits really, really beautifully, very crisply, and a little Gucci loafer situation. Honestly, I think it, again, does a good job of like not being like a totally boring suit, but I also feel like we could have spiced it up a little tiny bit. But also like Dwayne, you know, it's fine. As for Gabrielle Union, she's wearing Valentino Haute Couture. This is a very beautiful sequin sort of chocolatey brown gown. It's like a turtleneck gown. It's meant to sort of hug the body really, really beautifully, and I think Gabrielle is pulling it off fantastically. I almost wish that Dwayne had gone for like a brown to sort of match Gabrielle. That's my opinion. I mean, I feel like I like a coinciding look from a couple, but honestly, I do think she looks stunning. It's very simple in that sense, but that's what that Valentino collection was supposed to be about. It wasn't trying to do crazy over the top, ostentatious. It's trying to do just beautiful haute couture that fits fantastically, quality over pizzazz, and I think she looks rather sweet. Next up is Elsa Hosk. She's wearing Minot. It's a look, most definitely. It's a sharp-shouldered sort of bolero jacket crop top, which has a very exposed bust area and then also exposes the waist. And then there's a high-waisted skirt with a cutout at the upper pelvis, and then it pretty much is a column skirt that falls to the floor. Honestly, like, I appreciate that Elsa went for it. You know what I mean? Like, she said, I'll do it. I'm good. And she wasn't wrong. Like, I don't think it looks bad. I think it actually looks rather fun. I think it's intriguing. Is it like miraculous, over the top, amazing, iconic? Well, no, but like, I appreciate it. Next up is Emily Ratajkowski, and she's wearing Armani Privé. I don't understand this. The faux corset situation in this orange, what looks like an oversized bugle bead that is exposed and open in the front, but really is like held together by a sheer piece of fabric. I don't get it. And maybe had we not done like this black skirt, I maybe could have gotten it. I just don't really see how the two coincide at all. And then I don't really see what the vision was supposed to be for the orange bugle bead bustier moment. It just feels very randomly thrown together last minute. Nobody really knew what we were doing. We're just going to go for it. And that's the concerning part. I feel like Emily Ratajkowski could have done something like, wow. That's not the wow that we're going for here. Next up is Hailee Steinfeld, and she's wearing Rocha. Honestly, I love this. I think it's actually really, really beautiful. I think it's very simplistic in a way, but I think she carries it off stunningly. The little white sort of silk with the off-the-shoulder straps is lovely, and then it's pretty much just a black velvet dress that fits all the way and has a little bit of a mermaid skirt at the bottom. Honestly, I think it looks really pretty. I think it's a really good way to do simple black and white playing off of each other, and the silhouette is gorgeous. So happy with this. Very nice, very enjoyable. Love to see it. Shout out Rocha. Shout out Hailee Steinfeld. Next up is Hailey Bieber, and she is wearing Saint Laurent. And listen, I'm just happy that Hailey is like feeling good. You know what I mean? Like she's out and about. She's doing her thing. Good for her. Happy to see that she's happy and healthy. So she's wearing I would say this is like a taupey, sandy brown gown that is ruched up the front of top, and then the skirt is sort of ruched to a degree at the top as well, but it's held together by a large golden or bronzy flower with cutouts at the side, long sleeves, and lots of Elsa Peretti jewelry. I love an Elsa Peretti jewelry moment. The skirt is pretty much just gown length. Skirt hits the floor. I think it's intriguing. It's a Saint Laurent moment. I think that it, certainly is different than what we normally think of when we think of Saint Laurent by Anthony Vaccarello, but I'm intrigued by it. I don't think it looks bad. I don't think it looks horrible. I don't think it looks ugly. I think it looks strange, but in a good way. I don't know. It's almost like bohemian, but it's quite minimal in its bohemianness, and those two things don't really go together to me, but I appreciate this somehow. Next up is Halsey, and she's wearing Dolce & Gabbana. It's a sheer dress with some gold chain straps. Thank you, Halsey. Have a nice day. Next up, Hunter Schafer wearing Rick Owens. Love this. This is from the fall 2022 collection. Hunter looks fantastic. It's pretty much a denim gown with a bateau neckline, which, like, listen, you don't see a bateau all that much. So, like, when you see one, you say, oh, my girl, a bateau. Listen, the denim I think is really, really great because at one point it looks like it's a dark sort of gray denim, but then at certain elements, whether it's like above the bust or at the sort of waist and pelvic area down, throughout this mermaid length skirt, it looks as if it's been sandblasted, which I think is really, really cool. And then the sort of dark gray denim allows it to sort of contour the body in different ways. So it contours the bust, it contours the sort of thigh area, as well as the shoulders and the neck. I think the color looks really, really great on her. I think they did a good job with the hair. I think it fits very much so in with what the look is going for. The mermaid is also like fantastic. And we don't really see a whole lot of Rick Owens on red carpets, which is honestly a shame in my opinion, because there's one place they deserve to be, it's a red carpet. It looks fantastic. Also, from that runway look, it had a jacket attached. I think Hunter did a great job by not attaching this jacket. I think it really, really stands on its own as a beautiful gown. Doesn't really need anything else to like help it. She's killing it. Killing it. We then have Jake Gyllenhaal and Jean Cadieux, and she is wearing Loewe. Honestly, I don't know what Jake is wearing. Don't really care. I love this dress. I think it's a great dress. It's essentially a gold plate that sort of goes throughout this ribbed gown in black, so the gold sort of plays beautifully off of the black, and also it sort of recreates like body armor, but it's abstract. Again, it sort of plays to Jonathan Anderson's ability to sort of showcase like fashion in an artistic manner. It's almost like he just presents clothing that should just be at the MoMA, but like it's not, because it's also still at the same time wearable. It's just a lovely dress, really beautiful. So happy that somebody wore it. Also, I feel like I'm seeing the rose heel at the very bottom, so the heel is actually an upside down rose. It's the reason why Jonathan Anderson is Jonathan Anderson. Next up is Janelle Monáe, and she is wearing Christian Siriano. I feel like this is from the most recent collection, and I have to like be completely honest, the most recent Christian Siriano collection was the least offensive one I think I've ever seen. It's essentially a grouping of black sort of triangular pieces that create cutouts and then are held together with white buttons that run all down the front. I think it's a great sort of Janelle Monáe black and white reference. I love that she consistently sort of keeps it moving and grooving while she exists just in the world. I don't feel like it's too horrible, and now I know people are going to be like, oh, well, at the bottom, like, why does it look like it's hanging down? Because at first I was like, but in reality, it's because Janelle has to, like, move That's important. Otherwise, you're going to have, you know, her hobbling along, which I don't think anybody wants to see. So that's why they sort of begin to fall, as that, you know, excess of fabric utilized for movement. Overall, nice. Don't totally hate. Good. Solid. We then had Jessica Chastain. She wore a custom Gucci gown. It's essentially a green silk sort of bodice that is wrapped in a metallic pleated sort of skirt situation with an asymmetrical flow off the side. I do think the colors are very, very lovely. I think she looks, you know, great in a green. And at the same time, it's not like, luck the Irish, you know what I mean? Do I think it could have been like maybe a little bit more exciting? Yes, of course. But at the same time, like Jessica did it at the actual Oscars. So we're good. We're fine. She's good. This is enough for me. Thank you. We then had Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner both wearing Louis Vuitton. And I again think this is a really nice little look. Very proud, very happy. Joe is wearing a look that I believe is from one of Virgil Abloh's last collections at Louis Vuitton before his untimely and sad passing. He essentially is wearing a black suit that is piped in white sort of crystals or embroidered beads that essentially create the outline of a little bit of a human body to a degree. It's a little bit more wavy, a little bit more abstract, but it's essentially sort of creating the shape of a body. Great look, very solid, beautiful, stun. The shoes work wonderful with it. As for Sophie, she's wearing a look that is adapted from the Resort 2022 collection, I believe. Here, this is turned into a large ball gown instead of it being just cocktail dress. So Sophie Turner is currently pregnant, and I feel like this is a nice way, again, to sort of showcase the diversity that can come with maternity dressing. On one hand, we have Rihanna, who we'll talk about in a bit, but I feel like Sophie here does a good job of sort of emphasizing that there is a baby bump situation through the godets that sort of go on here that are gathered and like done in this beautiful, very space age 1960s sort of manner. The neoprene fabric, which I presume it's a neoprene of some sort, it looks very stiff, very heavy, is gorgeous. I think it's stunning. I think it looks lovely. I think it looks wonderful. And again, I think the placement of it is perfect to sort of emphasize that baby bump. Turner Jonas is very proud. Next up is Kendall Jenner. She's wearing Balenciaga. Now, this is from the Haute Couture collection. It is one of the intriguing looks that we saw during that collection because in reality, it's a large black gown that for the most part is a high-low, sort of simplistic in that way, although it's crinkled and wrinkled, but it was intended to be because that was Demna Gvasalia's whole idea of sort of taking elements that you wouldn't associate with haute couture and making them haute couture. But there's a large sort of arch of silk and tulle and, you know, or organza sort of fabric that moves over and creates a bib style top neckline situation. It's very intriguing. I just feel like there may be more exciting looks from that Balenciaga collection we could have chosen. Like, I get Kendall going for something a little bit drama, a little bit avant-garde, and I can appreciate that. It's not a moment like one would want. Next up, we have Kim Kardashian wearing Balenciaga. This seems to be the finale look from the fall 2022 collection. This sky icy blue gown with gloves with a long sort of train at the end. It's skin tight, it contours the body. Very Kim and very sort of Balenciaga as of recent. I will say there seems to be a little bit of a fit issue because I can see, you know, something sort of coming up over here on the side. But besides that, I mean, it's intriguing. I think Kim, though, could have gone for something a little bit more exciting in the accessories department, though. Maybe like a sunglass like Kendall had done, or some sort of hairpiece, or some sort of something to zhuzh the dress up just a little bit. There seems to be not that element of excitement in the look. It's more or less something that we've seen from Kim time and time and time and time and time again, and something we've seen from Kim and Balenciaga as well. Yeah, the fit could have been better. Next, there was Kodi Smit-McPhee. Now, he is rocking another Bottega custom look. Now, this is a black sort of suit with sheer sort of, I would say, knit underneath, and a little simple black pant with a, you know, more or less Bottega shoe. It looks very textured. Oh, it has the little knots on top of it that we saw from the fall 2022 collection. You can also see that there are little sort of black cylindrical elements that are sort of sitting right at the waist on the jacket. In my opinion, that's a reference back to the fall 2022 collection. There were these sort of cylindrical ends on jackets and coats, all in both men's and women's wear styles. I think it's a nice look. I think, honestly, again, in the same way with Jessica Chastain, Kodi delivered on the Oscars red carpet. So I think this more subtle sort of moment is totally fine by me. I think there are great little Bottega elements like the shoes. I think the knit is also really, really great. So like, good, thank you. That's all I need. Next up is Travis Barker and Kourtney Kardashian. Travis, I like the jacket. I think it's actually rather sweet. That fabric detail is very, very cool. The embroidery all throughout is actually rather nice. But the shirt, fine, cool, cool, cool. It looks like it's Tom Brown. I'm not sure if it actually is. As for Kourtney, that is the most atrocious thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It is hideous. It's disgusting. It should have been burned. It's vintage Dolce & Gabbana. And so then I say to all of you that are always like, oh my God, old Dolce is so great. What is that? You know, here in the United States, people are trying to ban books. Why don't we ban that? Let's work on that. That's a collective evil that I think we can all address and say, yikes. That's a monstrosity. The lace, the silver chainmail, the beige that I presume is meant to look like a sheer, that is ghastly. It is... Oh, that's gross. Like that is hideous. Throw the book at Kourtney. You know what? It's not about radiation. It's about looking good. That is the antithesis of good. That is evil. We then had Kristen Stewart, Chanel, obviously. It's a sheer look from the fall 2022 collection. Again, like unfortunate. The other thing is like that Haute Couture collection wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but like we could have referenced, I don't know, like Russian constructivists. We could have referenced like embroidery of the 1920s and da-da-da. But no, we get a sheer floral little dress with a black bow on it and some gold cuffs. And we're like, oh, wow, amazing. No. And Chanel cannot afford a custom look. I'm confused. Where is like the excitement, the pizzazz, the intrigue, the interest? No. Kristen is just floating by, which I get she does. That's her vibe. I understand that. But like, not here. Not today. Not now. Thank you. But no thank you. As for Lakeith Stanfield, he is wearing Saint Laurent. I like his big, bountiful fur. It's probably a faux fur, I'm sure. To me, reminds me of the most recent Saint Laurent collection with those beautiful, very 1970s, 1980s trimmed fur coats. They were really gorgeous. I think Lakeith always sort of goes for it, which love to see. The little striped shirt underneath, totally fine. The pants, great fit. And I love that sort of Eddie era black boot, that skinny little toe situation going on there. Honestly, I think he looks great. Lakeith always knows what he's doing. Very fantastic, very lovely. I want to be him. Next up, Laura Harrier. She's wearing off-white. Honestly, I appreciate it. The polka dot is a Virgil Abloh for off-white staple. It's very much so a part of the brand. It's something that he'd been doing for quite some time. And here, the fact that it's sort of warped and moved and grooved, it goes from being, you know, your regular schmegular little polka dots to being long and lucid or warped and strange. And it's fully embroidered and sequined and glittered. And while I don't exactly understand the waist above element, I do appreciate it to a degree. I think that had these two elements been separated, they would have been super duper intriguing. Like the drape in the skirt really creates an interesting sort of texture there, but the top, it looks a little bit like Megatron, you know, an Optimus Prime Lego. So I think they're of two different vibes, I would say, but I do think that they are rather intriguing, and separately I think that'd be very cool. I do think that even with that separation anxiety element, still looks nice, still is intriguing, still is one of the looks that sort of caught your eye. We then had Lily James. She's wearing Fendi. I presume maybe this is haute couture. Just kind of a blah Fendi look, unfortunately. That kind of sucks because there's some fun Fendi moments. People in LA act like it's cold nowadays. They're always like, oh, it's freezing. How cold is it? 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so for LA weather, she could have wore a little fur situation. It wouldn't have hurt anybody. I just don't think it really does much. It's pretty much a black dress with some visible boning and a train, and that's it. And that's very disappointing because, like, Fendi, there's looks. We should deliver, you know what I mean? Let's go. Let's move it, Kimmy. Next up, Maggie Gyllenhaal. This is one of the best looks of the night. Now, I know you guys are going to be like, Luke, it's a f***ing skirt suit. Who cares? I cares. Because this is a reference to the broken Mirrors Schiaparelli suit from, you know what, 1930 something. I love the embroidery of it. I think Daniel Roseberry does a great job of maneuvering the Schiaparelli references into different looks. I think they're beautiful. They're most definitely a reference to the Hall of Mirrors and Versailles. There's just that silver sort of element. The way that even they indent at the waist. So you know how a waist usually goes like this, where here the waist sort of curves in from the front and you can sort of see it in the cut of the jacket. It's really, really lovely. I think the skirt length also is great. I think Maggie is a little bit more conservative in her, fashion choices for the most part. So here, really enjoying this, really think it's fun, and I'm happy that she went for the full Schiaparelli all the way through. Like, she gave a great look on the Oscars red carpet, giving a great look at the after party. Maggie ex Schiaparelli, long may they live together. Next up, we have Maud Apatow, and she is wearing Saint Laurent. This, I don't know. Listen, I appreciate the curved cut at the bust, I guess, but at the same time, the fact that we go from a sort of gathered texture right into a sort of full, simple, fall down, straight and narrow, silky sort of texture, it's strange. I understand trying to sort of take on an empire waistline in a different manner, and one can appreciate it, but I just don't think here it really says much. Also, just the fact that you can sort of see like the hem situation there too is just a little bit uncomfortable. The color's okay, but overall it's just blah. And then quality, it's not bad, it just doesn't look major. Yikes. Next up, we have Megan Thee Stallion. I don't actually know who she's wearing. I couldn't find the credit for it, but it's, I would say, a light beige cocktail dress with a plunging neckline, and then it has little hip cutouts. I can appreciate Megan going for a cutout in a faux gown sort of situation. I feel like it sticks to her brand and how she sort of dresses normally, but I just think there would be more interesting sort of moments for her. Also, I feel like there are brands that really would like fit the bill here. What about like a Minot kind of moment? I feel like that is Megan's vibe. Here, it's just blah. Again, unfortunately. You know what I mean? We were given a half-baked look for the Oscars, and now we're getting raw and unfiltered. And I want baked through well enough. Next up, we have Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey. Michael Jordan's wearing a black, silky jacket and matching pant. It's very sort of a shiny take on a tuxedo. I think is very actually sweet, nice, enjoyable, looks lovely. It's not crazy over the top, but also it's a fun little play on the traditional suit situation, so nice enough. Lori Harvey's wearing Tony Ward couture just because like it's bedazzled and it has a gold skirt and some sort of avant-garde spirals coming out of it. Wouldn't say couture. Just seems rather uninspired and uninteresting and unexciting and uncool and unchic and un-time-worthy. So, want better for her.com. Next up is MJ Rodriguez, and she is wearing Etro. It's pretty much a sheer dress, which honestly, like, it's not the worst sheer dress that I've seen so far here today. Full of floral embroidery. Again, I think to a degree it is very Etro. Etro is a brand that for the most part sort of looks to Asian influences to influence a lot of its design. And so seeing sort of florals like this wouldn't be crazy for Etro. I just think we could spice it up a whole lot. Like a beautiful velvet would be stunning. Something that had like a tapestry feeling to it would be really, really cool. I just feel like there are interesting ways to go about making looks, and it's not that this looks bad. I think it fits her well. I think the whole idea is very run-of-the-mill. You've seen it before. But again, it's not terrible, but it's just not interesting, not exciting, not something anybody's gonna think about even now. We're done thinking about it. It's over. We're good. Moving on. Next up, Normani, and she's wearing Jean Paul Gaultier Haute Couture. This is also done by Glenn Martin. So if you saw our Oscars video, Jada Pinkett Smith wore a look from that collection. And so here, Normani is wearing pretty much a black tulle dress that's wrapped around a bodysuit of sorts, but it's sort of like a corseted little bustier short thing. You know what I mean? Like it's a bustier, and then it has a little bit of shorts going on underneath. So the black covering it, if anybody's going to say it's just black tulle covering an undergarment, you're not wrong. You're not. I agree with you there. Do I think that it plays a little bit to the history of Jean Paul Gaultier in terms of taking corsets, bustiers, lingerie, etc., and turning it into a more haute couture sort of element, taking items that usually are associated with boudoir and or lower styles of dress and making it much more luxe and luxury. Do I see that going on here? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think that the off-the-shoulder element of the tulle is kind of nice? Yeah, but overall, it's hard to say, oh, this is the perfect JPG haute couture look at this time. Next up we have Precious Lee, and she is wearing Christian Cowan. So it's pretty much a cream, fully sequined boudoir sort of dressing gown situation. It has these incredibly long, large sleeves that are lined in a little pink silk and are trimmed with a little white sort of ostrichy feather situation. The feathers trim comes all the way through on the neckline area, as well as the slit in the skirt. I like the matching pink shoe, ties in with the lining of the dress and the sleeves. Honestly, I think it is fun. I like seeing Precious in a sort of boudoir-y style. I feel like it's very interesting to see. The fact that this is like sequined also, very appreciable. It's not something that you see a super duper ton. When we're talking about Dakota Johnson before, it was really pleated, really light, but this is like fully sequin. It's not sort of a degradé of sequins as we go down. Is it like miraculous? No. But do I appreciate the style? Yeah. Do I think it's nice to see Precious in something that's not like a clingy fabricked dress? Absolutely, because I feel like that's oftentimes all that we see her in. And so it's nice to see something a little bit more substance, a little bit more referencing, a little bit chic, a little bit more elegant, a little bit more not, how do we dress her? This feels like it was thought about. It was collaborated on. It was a group effort. So appreciate that. Next up is Rihanna, and she is wearing Valentino. Now this is a take on the Haute Couture collection from spring 2022. It's essentially a sheer top with black bandeau. There is a sequined pant as well that goes on underneath. So I guess technically this is like a jumpsuit. And there's matching sequin gloves that go up to, you know, the arm area, almost to the bicep. Again, I think it just is Rihanna doing a full, I'm showcasing my baby bump every single moment that I can because I can. And it's just a continuation of that sort of style that we've been seeing for the past however many months, since January. It's intriguing to see an haute couture aspect of the look as well. Obviously, this is not on a red carpet. This is Rihanna like running around to like do low-key after party events. But it's something so interesting to see that even with Rihanna not showing up on a red carpet, she is still wearing custom Valentino haute couture, which I think there's only like one other person that really could do that, and it's Beyonce. So Titans just tightening. Honestly, I think she looks really good. I think the look is fun. I feel like we could have seen one of those big, bright pink over the top sort of styles, but it seems like Rihanna, for the most part, lets the garments that fit to her body be very subtle, and coats are usually the things that are a little bit more over the top, a little bit more avant-garde, a little bit more showy and vibrant. So I think she's keeping with what she's been doing, and she looks great. Next up is Sarah Paulson, and she is wearing Bottega Veneta. This is from the fall 2022 collection, which was the first by Matthew Blasi. It's a white t-shirt, large, what almost look like saran wrap gloves, which honestly I kind of love, and to me sort of play into Matthew Blasi's eras from Margiela, where anything can become a fashion sort of item. But I think the really intriguing aspect of this look is this yellow leather skirt situation. We saw it on the runway, but it's intriguing to see it stagnant compared to moving, because obviously you have just a sort of normal leather skirt. It's made up of a bunch of different panels of leather, but underneath that is a white and yellow fringe underskirt situation. Not as dazzling, I would say. Again, stagnant. In motion, very intriguing, very cool, very lovely to see. I just think when it's stagnant, it's going to take some time to compute. I don't hate the look. I just feel like maybe there were other looks that could have been just a little bit more exciting, but I'm happy to see Sarah at least like pulling out the new Bottega. We haven't really seen a lot of it on the red carpet, but it seems like Matthew Blasi is not going to be on the sidelines in terms of red carpet dressing. I mean, between this look and Kodi Smit-McPhee's two different looks for the Oscars and the after parties, Bottega's back, girls. Don't worry about it. Next up is Serena Williams. She's wearing Versace. I think this is lovely. Honestly, I really do. I think this is perfect. The cocktail length is gorgeous on Serena. I think the curvation of the neckline is really beautiful, and it's also very subtle. Like, it's not too crazy. It's not too over the top. It lets this reflective, sparkly chainmail do its job, which is to be the focus. And then I think the fact that it just fits her beautifully is really stunning. I think, honestly, on Serena, she has an amazing body, and so showcasing that is very much so to any designer's strong suit. It's always gonna be something that she's always gonna look good. I think honestly it looks beautiful. I think the color is really gorgeous as well. I think this is a very nice Serena look, and I'm happy to see it. Next up is Sheila Atim. I don't know who she is, but I know that she's wearing Prada, and I'm obsessed with it. I just love it because it's a full crazy ball gown silhouette in a red paillette sequined experience. And then there's a little black belt, which like very Maria Grazia, but like I'm gonna allow it here because it's Prada favoritism. But also there's like not a whole lot of belting going on at Prada. I do think that this very 1950s debutante silhouette is really, really great. I feel like we talked about it in our Milan fall 2022 review. So if you haven't watched that, you should. But we discussed how Prada's first ready-to-wear collection, which was fall 1988, actually took from 1950s tropes of silhouette. So you do see a lot of sort of new look-esque sort of styles. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here. I do think that the skirt is fantastic. That bell shape is out of this world. I think the color is honestly amazing. The fact that it fits the bust so beautifully too. Honestly, stunning, gorgeous, amazing, iconic look. Next up, we have Sydney Sweeney. She is wearing Miu Miu. It is a custom look, and it's like a fishnet top that's over a beige bustier corset situation. You can kind of see the boning underneath, and then it's a lilac silk skirt. Not my favorite custom Miu Miu look ever, and by ever I mean at all. I just don't think that the two elements connect to each other whatsoever. I also think that it just feels rather uninspired, which with the most recent Miu Miu collections, there's a lot to feel inspired by, I would say. I understand wanting to go for like a gown element, but I feel like we could have taken one of the runway looks and sort of created a gown sort of aesthetic to it. This feels very, we're running out of ideas over there on the custom team, and that's sad to say the very least. I just don't think that the elements work together. They don't sort of mesh well, even though they're meant to look like mesh. Yeah, not a good look for Sydney. That's unfortunate. Next up is Taika Waititi and Rita Ora. Now, I think Taika looks honestly good. I like this color. I think it's very different than what we normally associate with menswear. It's like maybe this is kind of taupey. I think that suit fits really, really well. I think the shoe is decent. The shirt underneath, I think the fact that it's a little bit lighter, and then you have the gray bow tie, it all really, really works. I think it's a nice, solid little menswear moment. As for Rita Ora, she's wearing Miss Sohi, design icon, up-and-coming brand that we really, really do enjoy over here at Haute La Mode. Now, this dress is pretty much a black cocktail gown. It is very much so embroidered and crystallized at the bust line. And then it has a silk taffeta cape train with sleeves that sort of comes down. And as you can see on this train, it is highly decorated. It looks like it's a landscape portrait, and it is based on Minhwa art, which is the art of the people that came around in the Joseon era of South Korea, and usually was a way for the everyday person to see culture and art and landscape all in a way that was done not by like the haughty artists, but rather the people. It's really, really great to see Miss Sohi actually take those elements and then recreate them in embroidery, because it's actually really, really beautiful. Like the colors are stunning. It's like they're beautiful trees, and it just looks great. And like normally I'd sit here and I'd say, Rita Ora, what are you doing here? But like I have no reason to say that today, because Rita Ora, whatever you're doing here, you look great in it. So I'm fine. I know this video is full of shocks and guffaws. I'm also shocked and guffawed too, genuinely. Next up, we have Tessa Thompson, and she is wearing Schiaparelli. Now, this is from the Haute Couture collection. It is essentially a sort of hood lapel situation paired with a little short suit and tights underneath and some sort of intriguing shoe that I can't actually see, but short's great. The thing that I love about this jacket is it's essentially a take on a toile, which is the sort of rough fabric that designers and ateliers use in order to make sure that patterns are correct and that they're structuring the garment properly before they use the actual expensive, good quality fabric. So if we zoom in on the sleeve, we can see these little lines that sort of arrive right here. And those are actually where you would mark what is going to be cut, what's not going to be cut, how the fabric is going to fold, etc., etc. It's actually a very, very cool way of subverting, again, this element of what is low brow and turning it into something that is haute couture and high end. So in that regard, I think it's a really nice look. Would I have maybe liked to see a little bit of a kooky crazy accessory to go with this moment? Yes, absolutely. But I do think the fact that Tessa is doing the short suit properly is enough of an accessory for me at this point. Like, K-Stu, take notes, please. So next up is Timothy Chalamet, and he is wearing Alexander McQueen. It's essentially a mixture of a leather jacket and leather pant situation that is straight down the front, essentially made out of denim. So it's suturing different elements and different sort of traditional cuts like motorcycle jacket and sort of inserting a denim jacket or leather pant and inserting a denim jean. It's intriguing, but it's not great. I think that's the problem here, is there just isn't much to it. And I feel like with Timmy, we could have referenced a great Alexander McQueen legacy look. Give me like Dante. Give me, I don't know, somebody, something, anything from McQueen that's like, ooh, exciting, amazing, wonderful. We got this. Also, I think the pants don't really fit great. They look a little bit way too baggy. Yeah, I just don't think this was the look for Timmy at all, and it makes sense as to why. Next up is Tracee Ellis Ross, and she is wearing Oscar de la Renta. Now, this is a very intriguing look because it's a full vinyl mermaid moment. The fit, it's okay. I mean, we can see it sort of crinkling a little bit at the waist, but also it's like a vinyl, so like giving a little bit of leeway. If you're seeing spandex wrinkle, that's a real true problem. Some fabrics are very, very stiff, and so it makes sense why they would move in that way. In my opinion, this isn't exactly like an Oscar de la Renta fabric that I would say, oh, of course it's Oscar. At first I thought it was Alaya. Secondly, I thought maybe it was a Schiaparelli, but it's not. It's an Oscar. I think it's actually a nice dress. I like that Tracee went for something still within this very traditionally glamorous cut gown instead of something that's kooky crazy over the top. Here, at least there's that element of ostentatious avant fabric choice that you can keep the silhouette very classic, but we'll do the fabric that's a little bit intriguing. Whereas I feel like her actual Oscars red carpet dress was not that. It was like silhouette, very boring fabric choice, and the fit was I think the fit actually got me demonetized on my Oscars video, so thank you, Carolina Herrera. But honestly, I don't think this is a terrible look. I think it's rather intriguing. I think it's fun to see Oscar do that. I would have preferred maybe a little bit more of like an embroidered moment from Oscar. I'll take it. Next up, we have Vanessa Hudgens wearing Valentino. It's a black sequin dress with a little sheer skirt. Yeah, not really too much to it. Just very simple. I kind of wish we'd gone for something a little bit more intriguing. Because listen, again, with the Michael Kors that we saw from the Oscars actual red carpet, it's like, it's Michael Kors. I'm not gonna sit here and demand a Mugler experience, John Galliano at Dior. That's not going to happen. But with Valentino, I feel like there are more exciting looks. I mean, that whole Pepto-Bismol pink collection could have been tapped into. And even that Haute Couture collection, I feel like those really big, beautiful taffeta capes would have been really, really cool. But we're just going to do very Maria Grazia at Valentino dress. I understand it's a commercial moment. Probably sells like hotcakes, but we're good. Thank you. We then had Venus. I don't know exactly who she's wearing. In my opinion, I feel like it's Louis Vuitton. I can't be sure though. And I really only think that it's Louis Vuitton because of the frayed leather sort of bustier situation going on here. I do genuinely think it's LV because it looks like that jacket that Cynthia Erivo wore recently. I do think the little overlay of the shearling is actually very intriguing, very different than what you would normally associate with a red carpet sort of gown, and a gown in and of itself. I think a leather gown is one thing, a shearling, very much so not traditional, and so I really respect that. I also like the fact that Venus is going for the white moment throughout. I wonder if that's maybe a reference to like tennis wear. I think traditional early tennis wear was usually very stark white. So maybe that's sort of what we were playing into, which if that's the case, very smart, really, really smart. The high slit I think is decent. I like the way that it overlays. I'm fine with this. We next then had Zendaya. This is Sport Max. She looks fantastic. Like this double-breasted suit is phenomenal. Like the wasp waist on that jacket is miraculous. The shoulders, perfection. The shirt, the color of that shirt is fantastic with a little black leather tie. The way that those little flare pants hit, I'm like, oh god, like it's fantastic. I really genuinely think this is a look and a half. Like that image by Helmut Newton of the smoking suit, move over. We have a new the smoking suit situation going on here. Thank you very, very much. It is very much what men's suiting should look like today, but the boys could never. And I think Zendaya just pulls it off fantastically. This is one of the best looks of the night because I just think it's a fantastic tailoring moment. And finally, we have Zoe Kravitz. She's wearing a white Saint Laurent dress. It has quite a backless element to it, but overall, it's not super exciting, super intriguing, super fun, super interesting. And I think that's the sad part is I feel like the Catwoman looks that we saw from Saint Laurent were really cool and had a, sort of tie in. Here I feel like we faltered on that, and so I wish we'd kind of, kept that going to a degree. It's a white dress with a backless element, and I feel like a lot of what she wears is very Givenchy-esque when it's very simple like this, which makes me laugh because Yves Saint Laurent did not like Hubert de Givenchy at all. He thought he was like talentless and thought he just like made boring dresses and was like a whatever designer. I kind of always like that comparison of her and Saint Laurent and people thinking it's Givenchy. But yeah, it could have been a lot more, most definitely. So let's do a best and a worst. Best, as I said, Zendaya, I'm throwing in there. Serena Williams, I think really fantastic. Really, really love Maggie Gyllenhaal. Schiaparelli, fantastic. Iconic, gorgeous, stunning. Lakeith Stanfield, Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner, definitely. Hunter Schafer, Rick Owens. Ciara DiPetsa, definitely. Dakota Johnson, Gucci. As for worst, we're gonna put Barbie in there. Chloe Bailey, that was tough. Emily Ratajkowski, oy. Kristen Stewart, throw her in there. Kourtney Kardashian, that was the worst dress. Like, you know, I know I'm throwing out a lot of names here, but that was offensive. That really like hurt my little soul. But that is the end of our Oscars after party outfits review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please let me know what some of your favorites were in the comments down below. We will see you guys in the next video, and TTYL.